Everyone, this is Robin Booth speaking, your host today for Airbnb Success, wherever you are in the world, because we know that investing in property, investing in Airbnb is a global opportunity. Some of my clients are around the world investing in properties around the world to do Airbnb, and some of them are here in South Africa, in different parts of South Africa, all using skills, strategies, making money off other people's properties, other people's time and experience and expenses, and they're creating more money in the bank for them, increasing the yields, increasing profits. And of course, this is all about creating the life that you love to live, whether it is about increasing the money in your pocket for your children's education, because there's some things that you like. You maybe want to travel. I often share that in 2019 and then later on, even last year, I spent over between 100 and 150 days traveling out of the country, and my Airbnbs were successful in creating that profit for me to travel, and it was functioning while I was traveling, which is of course what we want to create. We want to create some kind of an automated system that allows for a lot of the legwork to be done by technology, and then we want to refine it and take advantage of that. And today, this is a new time slot. I thought, well, we always do this slot at lunchtime on a Thursday, and there's a challenge with that, which is not everyone can watch at lunchtime, and other people might not be able to see it on a Thursday. So we thought, well, let's just open this up, create a different possibility for you to see this, because tonight I'm going to share something which I usually only have in my courses, because this is where the money is made, in how to find a property that you would like to rent from a landlord, and then all legally you put on Airbnb or booking.com, and you make more money than you're paying the landlord. And in that way, you are creating more profit. And that is called the rental arbitrage. I will state it here. This is being recorded. This is the only way that I know in real estate investing, and I use the term investing because we are still investing, even though we're not buying the property. Real estate investing, where you can generate money from month one, positive cash flow from month one, not by owning the property, but by controlling the property, controlling the cash flow. I know no other model where you, from day one, you can literally be generating positive cash flow and scale it and expand it to fire your boss, is a term we often use. And tonight, I'm going to show you how I go around finding a property, because everyone keeps asking me, Robin, where do we find these properties? How do we do the numbers? How do we analyze? And yes, I'm going to share with you some of the tools. I have not shared it at all in this context of these chats, of these talks. So this is part of the secret sauce that I'm going to share with you today. And it's definitely worthwhile coming back to and looking back. And everything I'm going to share with you, of course, is on our courses. And I'm here to convey that information from you. So why not you go and play as well? Because when you realize what you could be making, and that you too could be firing your boss. And I use that term, jovially and lightheartedly, but I'm actually serious, that I've worked with quite a few clients now who fired their bosses because they've gone full-time into the Airbnb sector or done a side hustle that's grown to something else. The stuff I'm sharing tonight is exactly made up of that, and that's going to be super exciting. At the same time, this is the first time that you've ever joined me for this. Well, you know that this is live. It is now 7:04 on a Thursday evening, the 6th of July. You have the opportunity of asking me a question. You can either pay me a lot of money as a coach and I'll answer your question, or right now you can answer it or ask it and I will answer it with full transparency, openness, and a good heart to give you an insight that will help you and take you further in your journey of Airbnb or short-term letting, because also that could be booking.com, Verbo, a whole lot of different platforms where you can list your house, your apartment, your farm, your tree house, your caravan, your boat, a whole lot of different places that you could generate that extra money for you and to keep that. Everything we're talking about is legal. This isn't about, hey, if you do this clever way, you can get away with something. No, we're talking full transparency. It's legal. We have signed leases. We have insurance policies. We are legit. This is not something which is a side hustle just happy-go-lucky. So you can ask a question about your Airbnb or anything else that you have, and I'll gladly answer it. I'm hoping that I can see your question because I'm going to dive straight into what we're going to look at. And I thought that tonight would be a great an example of looking for a rent-to-rent property, a property that someone would rent from a landlord that you would, and then you would list it on Airbnb. So tonight, the purpose is to share with you the tools that I look for that, and also how I bring it all together using one of my calculators, one of the spreadsheets that I have to help me with the calculations. And in that way, I'll show you how some of the properties we're going to look at tonight will bring me an extra 10,000 to 20,000 Rand in my pocket, like positive profit, not just income, but the positive profit. And I'm going to share that with you. But we have our first question. The first question says, let me just overlay this for you so everyone can read as well. Do you tell the landlord that, it's not that one, it's this one. Do you tell the landlord that you're going to sublet their property? Is it a clause in which the lease you sign with the landlord? 100%. I want the landlord to know because they're going to find out at some point. And usually every lease, traditional lease, has a clause that says the tenant cannot sublet the property unless with written permission from the landlord. So what do we do? And all my leases are in my course. So you can go and just take the lease and it's ready to go. The lease states that the landlord gives me permission to sublet this unit on platforms such as Airbnb, Booking.com, and other short-term letting platforms. So that for some people is the biggest challenge, which is how to convince a landlord to let you use their property so you can make money. Because it's not that they're greedy and they're like, well, if you're going to earn money, I want some money. They don't think like that. They usually are afraid of, well, there's going to be wear and tear. What about damage? I don't know who's going to come into the property. How are you going to regulate it? And a whole lot of different things. But if you know how to answer the question, if you know how to answer that concern for the landlord in such a way that the landlord says, wow, here's my property, please take it, then you're hitting the ball out the park. And that's the winner. And that script, which is what I call the landlord script, is also all in the course there. It's not going to be for tonight. You can go and check that. But what it basically is implying is you're proving why it's better for the landlord to rent to you. And I'll just give you a very quick example on that. You consider when you choose an Airbnb, you're going to want to find a place that's clean, that's neat, that's functional, that hasn't got mold, everything works, it looks great. So who would you rather have as a landlord? A tenant in there who's going to stay there for 12 months, who's going to just cook and have grease flying all over the place, who's going to not even clean the property all that often, is certainly not going to worry about fixing things? Or do you want me as a landlord who's going to professionally clean your unit at least probably 3 times a week? And if there's mold or anything that doesn't make your property pop and shine, I'm going to sort it out because my business depends on that looking good and function and working. So which would you rather have as a landlord? Me, who's going to make sure your place shines and is spick and span and professionally cleaned often, or some tenant who's going to go there, throw parties, have pets, dogs, not even worry about telling you if something's wrong. They're going to spill stuff. They're going to chip your walls with moving furniture. They're not going to tell you, or you're going to have someone like me who's going to make sure this place is pristine. So 100%, if you know how to convince a landlord that you have, that it's in their best interest to rent it to you and for you to sublet an Airbnb, 100%. Did you know that, for example, Airbnb has a $3 million insurance cover for every booking that an Airbnb guest has with you? So if an Airbnb knocks a wall, bashes a wall, breaks a light, has a wine stain on your furniture, has eye mascara makeup on your towels, you can claim the damages for that to replace it for free because Airbnb has that insurance cover. Right? Kind of no-brainer there. So there we go. That's just that example. But let's get into how you then find these properties, because if you don't know how to find them, then how can you start negotiating with the landlord? Because if you don't know how to start negotiating with the landlord, well, then how are you going to automate it and put things in place? And if you don't know all of that, well, then how are you going to make the money? So this is the first step, which is right. I would like to play around and see where good areas, what would this look like? How do I do a calculation? What could I do to help me assess whether this property could make me a lot of money? And I'm going to share that with you as we go into this now. So I went online, and I'll probably have to keep coming back to some chats, because if I go full screen, I won't see your chat. But let's take that. What I've got here is I've gone online and I went to Property 24. I'm going to give you an example of, okay, hang on, that's not working then. Let me go back here. Sorry, I just have to actually go to that page there. Okay, there we go. Okay, I can get that there. So let me move that. So I'm using two screens here, and I've got to make sure that you can see what I'm sharing, and that sometimes is a bit of a challenge. Okay, so okay. So I'm going to hope that you see my screen on the Property 24, because that's what I want us to look at. The only thing is if I show that, I can't see at this moment whether you can see me or what I'm actually sharing if I click on it. So let me just check. So just maybe write in a comment there that you can see the website, the private property website. That's the one that's the most important one for me at this moment. This one here that you can see. Yes, I can see myself there and I can see you here. So for example, here I've got on the private property, I've got the Property 24 website as well. And in that, what we're going to do is I have put certain criteria in. I've put in here, if we just take a look, I chose Neisner because I wanted something which not someone here is probably going to go and do, because it will be a bit challenging if I go and find you guys something and then everyone's rushing to it to see if it's a possibility to take for themselves. So that's why I've chosen a different city, a different town, even though right now I'm in Cape Town. Let's take a look at that. So I first am going to say, right, show me the houses to rent on Property 24, private property. And for the purpose of this conversation, here we go, private property. I've put in here Neisner. I've searched for some of the suburbs in Neisner that I would like to see the rentals for. So I want to rent a property in Neisner. And let's take a look. It says there's 24 of 63 properties. There are a fair amount of properties, and I'm going to just share you right from the start how I go through and look at this. I don't want to look at the per day ones. So some of the platforms allow you to filter rentals by year, by month, by week, by day. This one, I'm looking for the per month, so something like that. First of all, what I'm looking for is, does it look attractive? Now, this one was interesting. I saw, wow, 4-bedroom apartment, 22,000 Rand. It looks like it's in a complex that could be rent ready. And I think in this case, I might have actually said it must be furnished. I'm not sure if I had mentioned that it must be furnished, because I don't want to have to pay 300,000 Rand to furnish a place. So why not just, get it from when it's already all furnished? So that's what I'm wanting, is to look strategically for that. So if I go and just take a look at this one, I'm like, well, looks interesting. There's some photos here, and it shows that the photos look like it's already set up for an Airbnb. You'll often find that a property that's already furnished looks kind of already like an Airbnb to some degree, probably because they are failed Airbnb host. In other words, there's too much effort. I've got to go there and hand over the keys and a whole lot of problems. Well, hello, you didn't automate it. You didn't make sure that it was self-check-ins and that all your logistics and the cleaners are all notified automatically. If you don't do that, you're going to end up putting a lot of your time in. So this looks fairly decent, and I thought, okay, that looks fine. And I carried on reading, and I look here and I see, this is actually trying to just sell me a short-term time period. It's not actually allowing me to rent this for a year. It's saying, well, the monthly rate for the next few months is this. And then if you want it, well, you have to do more. And I'm like, okay, that's not going to help. Don't waste your time. That's not going to work for us. So let's go straight off that and let's look at something else. A couple of other ones here. 4-bedroom house, Neisner Central, available from 15th August. So that's in a month's time. I quite like the look of it. I quite like the, some of these nice things that look fairly good. So let's see a bit more of these logistics. Looks fairly pretty. I like that. Let's see, 4-bed, 3-bath. That's quite nice, because more bathrooms. You don't want to have 4 bedrooms and 1 bath, because can you imagine 4 bedrooms is probably 8 people. So 2 people for every bedroom. Imagine having 8 people all trying to go with 1 bathroom or even 2 bathrooms. That can be a bit challenging. So let's take a look here. Water included. I like that. Ensuite, 3 of them. That's very nice. Plus a guest toilet. Okay. Gourmet kitchen. Fantastic. 2 cars. House equipped with solar panels, inverter, batteries. Wow, this is like great. Maximum 1 year, fantastic. It's got electric fencing. Wow, so this is like aircon, 3 lounges, 2 dining areas. This is proper. So let's take a look at just quickly some of the pictures. I mean, that looks really interesting. Okay, nice. Wow, that looks really good. Like, wouldn't it be nice to have this in your portfolio where you can go and stay when you would like to? And it says it's fully furnished. Okay, so what do we do now? What do we do now to check to see if this is something that is possible? So we look at the address. This, luckily for us, tells us the address. Sometimes we don't know the address because it says, please contact the agent for the address. And there are ways that we can get around it. But in this case, it's there. So let's use it. So 2 High Street in Knysna. The most useful website tool is AirDNA. As you can see at the top here, airdna.co. And what you do is you will go into it and you want to come down to this thing called the rentalizer on the bottom left. And you're going to type in 2 High Street. Knysna. Okay, it doesn't have it there yet. 2 High Street, there we go. Rexford, Knysna. It had 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. So we can change this here. 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. So we know that 2 guests per bedroom. So I can take 8 guests. And I'm saying, give me the comps. Tell me how much this property, look, put the picture there, how much this property could generate on Airbnb in 1 year. Tell me its daily rate, average, and its occupancy rate. How many days in a year will it be occupied? So it says this property could get me 474,000 Rand of potential income with an average rate of 2,400 Rand per night, average being low season, obviously probably about 1,200. High season could this, maybe 5 grand, 4.5, 5 grand, and it will be occupied 54% of the year with on average. Like if you didn't have skills and you didn't know how to do things. Now, I'll share with you some interesting facts in that. Here, wow, look at this. This is really interesting. Look at the growth over the last few years that, okay, well, we did have COVID. Maybe that's why this is. But this is usually like, wow, if there's this kind of a growth, that's just on the spiral up, which means this is good. This looks like there's some really good income there. And we can see here a seasonal spike rate. Of course, here we are June, July. Okay, July, we're on school holidays now, so that's going to have a little spike. But obviously, just look at what happens. I mean, Knysna is seasonal, but there they are, 65K in 1 month. So they're charging 25,000 Rand, but here in December alone, you're going to earn 65 at 54% occupancy rate. Okay, I like that. I think let's take that. So what I do then is I say, okay, I'm going to have a spreadsheet, which again is all in my course. It's there. I usually put the listing, I copy the listing. Oh, no, I'm going to, okay. And I write in here what I need to, let's say this is 2 Fishett Street. It was 25,000 Rand rent. Okay, 25,000 Rand rent. I just want to check what was here as well. It was 25,000. So let's come back to the spreadsheet and AirDNA. There we go in the spreadsheet. It was 25,000 Rand. And what is here is how much electricity would I spend in a month? How much water would I spend in a month? Roughly how many cleans per month? So maybe 7 kind of cleans. And then I've got here, if you're listing on Airbnb or booking.com, they're going to probably take 15% of your gross income, the commissionable revenue that they're generating, because we want to be fairly accurate, and Wi-Fi, and that will make a certain amount per month that I want to calculate in. Then using that AirDNA, which I've just got here, this amount here, 2,454, I want to put it in here, which is 2,400 and 54%. Okay, I was right, 2,400. Let me just confirm. Yeah, 2,400. So then the spreadsheet tells me that the ADNA income is about 473. Okay, let's just check. Oh, sorry, that's a large amount here. So let me just check where my calculation threw it out. I changed this over here. So I think this is 2,300 Rand, not all that amount. So I'm actually just going to go right there, 2,300, just because otherwise we're going to be totally all over the place and confused. Because that will be the 700. There's your, and maybe I'll actually come back and check that. But what it's saying is that we're going to be generating between 10 and 26, or let's call it here, 10,000 Rand, 12,000 Rand, based on ADNA's calculation, right? Which is on what they've done. Now, I would challenge anyone here who's watching and perhaps has some interest in this, is to see that if they've got their own Airbnbs and they've done my courses, they will know that they can generate more than the average. Like what we do is we outperform our competition significantly. So I literally will guarantee you that you can increase ADNA's average by 20%. So if they say 54, then you can get 74% occupancy rate. So that means you could be getting 26,000 Rand profit. So I'm actually just going to add this, increase this a little bit more. I think this is probably more 6,000, if I'm not mistaken. Somewhere my formula was a bit out in just preparing for tonight. But either way, 8 to 23,000 Rand positive income that you're going to get after the ADNA has already taken its cut, after rent is being deducted, a whole lot of different things. So this looks like a super interesting property for me. This makes me realize this is worthwhile exploring further. And then what I'll do is I'll go and do the next layer, which is, well, let me see, is 2,500, 2,400. Okay, Bruce says they're going to be now flying to Nizda. Well, you could be. This looks like a lovely property, but there are others like it. So let's just have a look here. But we want to cross references, cross check it. So we saw 2 Fishett Street. So let's go to Fishett Street. We want to see 2 Fishett Street. Okay, you can't see my sheet because I've taken it off. So, did no one see my sheet? Oh, well, you should have told me that if you couldn't see my sheet. I'll have to re-show that window then for you. I'll do it on the next round. So thanks for letting me know. So let's just go and let's look at where 2 Fishett Street is. So it tells us that that's it. Actually, let me, Bruce, let me see if I can then share my screen. I want to just then redo that spreadsheet for us, because this is way too useful if you didn't see the spreadsheet. Okay, let me just see if, here we go. Okay, here we go. Sorry if you didn't see it. I hoped you would. Well, there we go. This is where I put in the address. This is how much rent I'm paying. This is where I'm saying 700 Rand for electricity, 300 Rand for the water, Wi-Fi, 15% commission along those lines. The daily rate from ADNA, the occupancy rate, and this tells me the annual profit or the annual income with the profit based on ADNA's projections. I hope you can see it now. You are sharing it. Can someone just confirm they can see the spreadsheet? Because I can't see if you've seen it. 20% more occupancy. Great, excellent, thank you. 20% more. 20% more from ADNA will push you into the 23%. That's what this calculator is doing for us automatically. And what I was saying is, well, let's check to see if 2,400 is a kind of realistic amount that it's general that we could ask for that. So I'm going to come back to sharing this here with you. Here we go. So coming back to Fishett Street, we can see more or less where this place is in Knysna. Now, is it somewhere up there? So now I'm going to go into Airbnb and say, please, Airbnb, using the map over here, using this map section, I want to see properties like the Fishett Street one to see if actually they are getting that kind of amount of income. There's Fishett Street, and I can see we were talking about 8 guests. There's 2,500, right? So look at these ones here. You can see down here, close to this area. They're ranging between 2.5 a night, 2.5 a night, 3 a night. This is in September 3 to 7. So I took a look at what that would look like. Remember, I said that you'll have high seasons where it'll be a lot more. Let's take a look if we look more December time. I'm going to actually increase that to 8 guests just because we can, because our one does that. And this only has their only one. Oh, thank you. Okay, so, oh, shucks. Okay, yeah, thanks, Bruce. Oh, there we go. Sorry. Whoa. All right, this is, okay, so let me backtrack again to Fishett Street. We know the address. I put it into Google Maps because I want to see where it is and where Neisner is. And it pops up here and says, there's Fishett Street is along this road. And I'm like, okay, great. I can see where it is. Let me go to Airbnb. Let me go to the map function of Airbnb. There we got Neisner. I'm looking for Fishett Street over here, which is what it's there. I increased this to 8 guests because the property I'm looking at has 8 guests. And I've put there 17 to 22 December. And here it tells me I can get, okay, that's 7 bedrooms, 41 beds. That's probably a bit extreme. I don't want that one. So let's see. Let's just go down to just something else. I want to see some more properties in the area. So there we go, 4,500. Remember I said you could probably get about a 4.5, 5. So here these are getting 4, 5, 3-bedroom houses. Wow, 4,000 for that. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, I can't judge what people are getting, except that's a lot of money for what looks like a little tin roof house. But that's high season. So let's take a look at this in slightly more lower season. Let's take a look at it now in some of its low season in August. What could I be getting? Because remember, I want to verify, is 2.4 thousand Rand an average? So here's 2.6, 2.9, 1.2. So that's quite, that's less, but I can see there are quite a few still. 2.5, 2.7, 2.9. We're back to 2.9 on that one, that weird one. So 2,400 from AirDNA is actually probably fairly accurate. So then I know that the AirDNA data in its daily rate is fairly accurate. I've cross-referenced it, and then I'll go to the next part of the due diligence as I take it into the spreadsheet and feed it out a bit more to see, is this something that is doable? So we saw that this was getting a roughly that between 10 and 20 grand per month on a rent-to-rent over that course of that year, which is great. That means I could be getting 200,000 Rand profit, and I didn't even own that unit. I just rented it. It's already got its furniture in. I'll probably have to just go and look at a little, maybe tweak some of it. I might have to go and get some linen. Of course, the cleaning is a cost that comes onto that. In other words, when you see this cost here at Airbnb, this is a nightly rate, and then they add the cleaning after. So this here is income, and then you add the cleaning onto that. So that's why it's not in my Excel spreadsheet calculation. Okay. So I didn't see any other specific comments. I'm looking because I've got my second screen there at this moment. So let's look for another property. This one, man, I wish I was in Neisner now, because I would go and have a look at this. Because if you know how I like to live, I like to have my Airbnbs, and when I go to those cities, I like to stay in them for free. Right now, I'm in a beautiful penthouse on the beachfront in Broberg, and I don't pay for it. Why? Because the Airbnb for the rest of you pays for it while I'm also traveling. So let's take a look at some other ones, because I actually think that there is another one over here. Let's take a look. Let's carry on looking. So we saw that one is a good one. 16,000 3-bed townhouse in Costa Sada. Okay. Let's take, furnished. Thank you very much. Good one. Alarm, access gate. Access gate is another sense of security. Let's take a look at that. Okay, 18 photos, 16,000 Rand, 3 beds, 1 bath. Okay, now I can see already, well, this agent, and if you're an agent out here, I apologize for what I'm going to say, but if you are listing this place saying 3 beds, 1 bath, and in your description, you're telling me that the first floor living quarters, double room, bathroom, and a single bedroom and then you tell me that the main has an ensuite, that in my math is 2 bathrooms. So this agent is leaving money on the table by listing a property that is incorrectly listed as 1 bathroom. And a lot of people are just going to look at that and say, sorry, I don't even want to come to this. How can you have 3 bedrooms, 6 people with 1 bathroom? Sorry, agents. So lovely views, furnished. Again, for those who've done my course, you will know I'm very finicky about the photographs. Isn't it just crazy that this agent, again, look at this photograph. It's not my bandwidth. It's blurry. It's terrible. The light is terrible. They've just come and look at that. This is terrible. Anyway, she's leaving money on the table because she's not getting her stuff sorted to get this looked at. So I still think this is interesting. Oh, look, well, I guess you can't probably see it. I've just had someone says, hey, thank you, just made Superhost. Thank you for all your help. It was a message that came through from someone. But that's so great. And we tell you in the course how to do Superhost, how to be a Superhost, what you have to do, what you have to achieve. And there we go. It's great. It's all there for you. Okay, so this looks like it's got a whole lot of stuff. Let's put it into our spreadsheet. Now, let's first actually just take it into AirDNA. So Costa Sada, 3-bed, and it's 2 bath. So let's go there. So I happen to know, I'm going to actually prove it to you again. If we come back here, take a look at some of these photos. I actually just want to see if it shows. Just want to see if it comes up. Oh, that's quite nice. I like that it's right on the river there, or on the lagoon. Nice there. Okay, 26. So this is number 26, Tides End. And the reason I know it's Tides End is because I know Costa Sada, but so I know it's in that place. Now we're telling it to search. There's no image because it's in a complex, but it was 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and therefore you can have 6 guests. Let's update that. So number 26 Tide Street, you can generate 340,000 Rand and it's 16,000 Rand rent. So at 45%. So let me go onto the spreadsheet again. I'll have to just stop sharing and then I'm going to reshare for you. I'm getting the hang of it. Entire screen, there we go. And I'll turn it on this time. There we go. So here's our spreadsheet again. I would put here again that like 26 Tides, and just for this reason, we said 16,000 Rand. I'm going to leave this more or less at that kind of amount, the 6,000, just for today's sake. We saw there it was, now I've forgotten, the 2,100 Rand at 45%. So this one is now 2,100 at 45, and it generates, as I said, about 344,000 Rand, which is what we did see here, about 340,000 Rand. And that tells us that, wow, oh, sorry, that's 16,000. That was like, wow, that's good. Okay, about 8,000 Rand profit, and also about 20,000 Rand if I can increase it by 20%, which is what our systems do. We know how to do this. And on this call, I know Bruce is there. Bruce is a very competent Airbnb host, and he'll probably sit here also and say, yes, this is a proper, valid. You can get this kind of amount. I mean, for those of you who know some of the stories of some of the people who've done the courses and that, one of them, which is a crazy story, 1 month in one property generated 500,000 Rand profit in Cape Town. 1 month in one property, 500,000 Rand profit. Rent to rent, didn't even own it. It was an expensive property, but possible. Anyway, so here we've got, again, between 7 and 20,000 Rand profit. Already the commission's being taken off. That's like, cleaning will come on after that. So that's quite nice. So let's take a look. Can we actually get about 2,100 at this place called Tides End? So let's take a look. We'll go back on here. We can come back into this section here. Now, we might say, well, where is tides end? So let's just go look here again. So tides end in Costa Sada and Neisner. Here we go, Sun Valley, there we go. So here it is. Okay, so it's somewhere on the lagoon because we saw that view around here. So I'm going to go back into Airbnb and I'm going to say, okay, I think Costa Sada is somewhere around here. There we go. Let's take a look. Yep, that's right. There, tides end. So this is just next to it. This is number 18. And we were looking at 26. 3-bed, same thing, 4 beds, 3 bedrooms, 4 beds. I also look at the reviews. 4.67 out of 5 means people enjoyed it. And 3,148 per night in August. And we were looking at an average of 2,000, if I'm not mistaken, 100. Okay, so 2.9, that's 1.1. So there's 5 tides end. So that obviously there was, I wonder where that one is. That maybe they've just got a different strategy. But there's 2.9, 3.9, 2. So I think 2.1 is a good average, which means that that's probably legit again. If we come back here to this here, 2,100 is not a bad one. Same kind of increasing rate going over the years, and obviously the same trend. But remember, we're averaging this out. So that, look at that, wow. In December, you're paying 16,000 Rand rent, but you're going to generate 73,000 Rand income. How is that? That's significant. So there you go. Very interesting. So what are you going to have to pay? You're going to have to pay, what did they say you needed to pay? Let's actually just check that. Probably just, oh, there we go. Deposit of 16,000 Rand, first month's rent, and then it's furnished. What else do you have to pay? I don't know. Did it say it was Wi-Fi and all that included? Because then we can go back and even change that. So either way, some people have Wi-Fi included, water included, there's this or that. You might have to get your own linen or at least top up the linen. But the point is that there's something legit in this. You could really make a good effort of doing this rent to rent. And how many did we get through? We got through just a few of the listings to actually really show that this is proper and legit. So there we go on that. I want to see if there are just any other questions. I'm going to stop the sharing and come back to the main page because those are some exciting things in there. That's like really proper legit Airbnb properties that you could go and do rent to rent. We haven't even talked about buying, but something that could be there as a rent to rent is very possible. Now I've lost all of our comments. So, but there was, I think I saw one. It was, I don't, they disappeared. I don't know, someone, if I haven't answered your question, it came right at the end. There was a question there and I didn't see it. Oh, yes. Can you sign a lease with someone if you're not there? In other words, from another town? 100%. I probably wouldn't do that. In other words, if I'm in Cape Town and I want to sign and start this Airbnb in Neisner, I definitely wouldn't do that if it was my first one. Probably wouldn't do it if it was my second one. But you would need to go there and you would want to go and check it out and to verify what you've seen. One of these other, well, I want to say students, clients, did exactly that from Joburg. They rented an expensive apartment in Clifton, got there on handover date. I realized that a whole lot of the plumbing and stuff wasn't working properly, and she had guests coming in, and she had a rush job to try and get everything in order. So I definitely think you need to do a proper inspection, in other words, a viewing at least of your place, because you also need to verify how your guests are going to get in. How are they going to get the keys, enter in? They're just logistics that you need to put in place. And of course, the course has all that information, what you need to look for, how do you verify it, how do you check it, how do you solve the problem of automated check-ins, all that kind of stuff. The examples and ideas on how you can solve that. Bruce, who I mentioned earlier, because he messaged me to say you couldn't see my screen. He is in Joburg. He has a unit down south, and he does it. Numerous other people are Joburg based. They come to Cape Town. One of my clients is Cape Town. He's in Dubai at the moment. I think he's opening his second and he has his third coming up. So he went there last week. He found another one. He set it up. He's going to come back to Cape Town. He's already got 17 here in Cape Town. This is how it all happens. Why stop? You can keep going. So a whole lot of different lovely stories that we have. So, right, let me overlay this for you. Does the total income, let me check it here, on Airbnb include the cleaning cost that the guests pay? No, because that you determine and you add on. This is just your night rate based on what is your average night rate multiplied by occupancy rate. And then you, like I say, because you add that on top of your nightly rate, it cancels each other out. In other words, what the guest is going to pay as to what the nightly rate times occupancy rate is. So it's not on that one there. So that's why I didn't include it in that. Okay, who actually checks the guest in? I love this. So who checks the guest in is a step-by-step instruction and a video on how you get into all of my units. And that's how you do it. You dummy proof it by ensuring that a guest can follow a set of instructions with pictures, sometimes even video, of how to find your key and to check in, and how to check out, what they must do, where they leave it, if there's codes, where to find the lockbox, how to open it, all those different things. We automate, we systemize, because I learned that lesson when I first started doing Airbnb. I handed the key over and I came down to Bloberg. And if you want to hear my story, you must go and you find the free, it's one of the free courses on Airbnb. I share with you different types of Airbnbs. I show you examples of Airbnbs that I've gone to, and I crit them for you. They're all there on the course. I think there's a link in the description of this video. Go and look at that. It's a free course. It's, I'm not sure, maybe 45 minutes, 60 minutes long, but I give you all these examples, and you hear my story of how I started Airbnb. And I started because I wanted to kite surf. So the wind is pumping in Bloberg. I'm ready to go kite surfing. It's 4 o'clock. The guests say they're going to be there 4 o'clock. I'm waiting, watching the sea, because I was on the sea, living on the sea. And I'm like, right, the guest is going to come at 4 and I can just get a session in before the end of the day. 4 o'clock came, 4:15, 4:30, 5:30, and I'm pissed off now because I wanted to go kiting, and the guests said they would be there at 4 and they weren't. And that's why I said, that's it. If I can't automate the check-in, and if I have to be there, or if I have to pay someone to be there, then I don't want to do that rent-to-rent in that property. Rule number 1, if you can't automate it, don't do it. It's not worth it. You're going to have to spend a lot of money on getting someone to do it, and it's going to create huge frustration because guests do not arrive on time. Okay, which places are good for short-term rental in Gauteng? I've just shown you one way of how to go and find out. One of those options is go onto Airbnb, search the whole of Gauteng, and see where there are the most Airbnbs. Because where there are the most Airbnbs probably means it's the greatest demand. And that means that that's a good place to start. You know, people often say, like, Robin, it's like, well, what about all the competition? Like, there are 25,000 Airbnb listings here in Cape Town. You haven't even taken into account Booking.com and Verbo and Lekker Slaap and all these other platforms. So am I afraid of them? Well, it would be great if there weren't that many, but I don't mind, because here I know how to dominate. I know how to improve a listing so that's listed number one. Go and check my courses. I show you proof of how we list number 1, how my clients and students who do the same course get listed number 1 so that they're chosen first. That's all there so that you have a step up to make it work. Do I use a key lock safe? I think I'm going to change this question. Is, do people use it? I only actually use it on one, but I'm very security conscious that a key lock safe is it's not as great as, for example, a digital keypad. So all of my front doors have digital keypads that link to software that give a code just for that guest's booking. So the guest can't come back and get into my place using that same code. So I'm a bit more finicky about that. And that certainly there are lots of different options on. Excellent. Then if you join, that was the key lock. That was the one that was there that was asked. Right, then let's just take a look. Okay. If you join the course, will you hold the hand for the first Airbnb? Well, you can. You form part of the Facebook group where it's. We also talk about that as part of the Airbnb. You join for 3 months the WhatsApp group of our Airbnb people. So you get started, you got a question, you ask on the WhatsApp group, because we realized the biggest challenge of starting your Airbnb is the fear of not knowing what you're doing. And yes, the course gives you all your input, gives you the insight, gives you the skills, spreadsheets, templates, everything. There's nothing like this nerves of signing this deal and listing it and hoping someone's going to book. And you sit there waiting to see, am I going to get a booking? Is it going to come through? And and then you start to realize after like the second and third month, when you realize, wow, actually, this is really, really interesting. Then you say, okay, I want more. And then you want to say, well, how do I scale? How do I expand this? How do I get my third, my fourth, my fifth? The first one is the most difficult. I've got clients who started, I think, a month and a half ago. And in her first month, she didn't find anything. She came to me literally she didn't cry. So I can't lie. She didn't come to me in tears, but she came to me really upset saying, I just want to give up. And I said, just keep doing what you need to be doing, what the course tells you. Now she's got 3, she's signing on her 4th, basically in 3 weeks. Why? Because once you've hit the first one, something shifts and the rest becomes so much easier. So that's definitely what we have found, which is why those who do then join the course get those first 3 months where they can ask their question, because we realized it's that momentum you need. Once you're going, sure, you can keep refining it, but we need you to succeed. Otherwise, it all just falls apart. And I'd rather there be good Airbnb hosts out there that have learned well than people out there in South Africa who are doing a terrible name to our country. It's like you must go and see. In the course, I do live critiques of other listings. And I mean, I think back to some of them. Some of them are you look at the Airbnb pictures and they're like upside down. The classic one, the one has got like the ladies' makeup and laundry and lingerie all over the place. It's crazy stuff, but it's just insane. So you will learn so much from that in any case of what not to do. So please go and have a look. It's hilarious, some of the stuff. And I'll also show you some good ones. I even show you an Airbnb that I went into in Durban that had maggots crawling in the rice of the pot that was left in the cupboard. It's promise. So just as we start finishing this off, that's I tell you the things that I've seen that. Anyway, would it be advisable to do a photography course? Definitely not. You don't need to. You get a professional photographer to come in because they know how to do stuff. They've got the right camera. They know how to do specific property perspectives, and it will cost you something like between 900 to 1,300 Rand perhaps to give you 25 photographs that are listed. That's why that first part of the course just talks all about how you must make sure you set it up, what furniture to use. Don't use glass tables because glass tables show dust very quickly. All those different kinds of things. Having plants in your Airbnb, not a good idea because they'll collect dust. And the moment they start looking old, it tells me that you're not an attentive host. So I explained a whole lot of that. That's there for you. Okay, I think this has been our longest session ever. Usually this time is at a different time of the day. It's lunchtime. Usually is when I do it, but it's great to spend some time in the evening. And if you are watching a replay of this, well, that's great because you've just got a whole lot of information shared that I've never shared on these kinds of talks, because that's the secret sauce. If you know how to find your own Airbnb that's going to generate you good money, well, that's step 1. But you still need step 2, step 3, and step 4, which is how to negotiate with the landlord, how to find the right furniture or the right linen, how to mark your linen, how to ensure you find the right cleaners, and then how to automate this so that you can benefit from the scalability. Those are the kinds of things which is all there. There's hours, and it's actually a fascinating journey because when I was asked to do the advanced course, was the week before we went into lockdown, the week before COVID-19 hit and the president said, we're now in lockdown. I finished the course. I rushed. I finished. We were at an event. I basically went straight into lockdown, and I had committed to doing an Airbnb course. So I was like, okay, I will show you how I will find an Airbnb, run it, keep it occupied without losing money throughout the whole of COVID. And I show you live. I record my screen. I show you. I'm saying the president has just told us we're on level 3 now. And level 3 means that I can accept business owners and first responders. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to pivot my Airbnb to attract those people. And I showed you the whole journey, live footage of me taking this Airbnb from a surprise. Oh, we're in lockdown. I'm like, this is the worst time to now do a course on how profitable Airbnb is. And I still made it work in that space. So that just goes to show, how interesting that was, right? Excellent. So more sessions. Well, there's so much for us to cover. That's why you need to have it all at your fingertips for lifelong. Of course, the course is lifelong. It's not just, oh, you get 2 months and that's it. It's lifelong. The WhatsApp support is for 3 months after that. Okay, there we go. So there's a whole lot of different information for us to chat about. For some of you who might know, I have shared it every now and then. My latest Airbnb is a penthouse here on Bloberg. I bought it, so I didn't just do rent to rent. And that is why I'm here in Cape Town again. I'm setting it up, getting it ready. I'm theming it, which I'm super excited about. What I mean by that is I'm theming it in gemstones. So I'm putting in big marble slabs. I've got a whole lot of rocks and cut stones and gemstones and sapphires and that, which we're going to put out there as well. So really, really excited about this one. Looking forward to it working, and of course to staying there. Now I'm going to have the issue of where do I want to stay? Which beachfront property do I want to stay at? And I say that not from a space of arrogance. I say that because I would never have thought that I'd be owning beachfront penthouses in Cape Town and them being cash flow positive on purchasing. Never have thought that was possible, and could only do that through what I've been sharing with you today, the Airbnb model. Promise you, could not have done that any other way, especially in Cape Town. And I've seen multiple other people succeed. A whole lot of my clients, people just like you, people watching this. Why? Because they always take value away from what we're sharing now. They're probably saying, oh, Robin, you mustn't tell them all the secrets, because they don't want you to go and now also have an Airbnb next to them and be their competition. I know them. I know they're probably thinking about that. I had my own student come and get a place right next to me in one of my units. So it's there. The competition's there. We just need to know how to dominate it. So from my side, I'm going to check out. It's been a great session. Loved sharing, even though I'm just talking to myself on this. And I think we run these sessions every 2 weeks. Keep watching the Facebook group, because I'm going to share with you when the next one is, whether it'll be, I think the evening. It's time that the evening people have an opportunity, because not all of us can just get off work. So there we go. Thanks very much, everyone. And have a very good evening, and go and play. Go look at what your house can get you on AirDNA. Go and check, because if you've got a granny flat, you've got like a room that you could isolate off as a, go and watch the free course, because I tell you how I started, and I did exactly that. Just with a room in my house with a separate entrance, and that paid for nearly the whole rent of the house that I was paying a landlord. A penny dropped in that moment. So go and have a look at that. And as always, look forward to